Well, for the past 2 weeks, I've been talking a lot about doubt, and it has confused some people, myself included, because whenever we talk about doubt, we come up to the big, big question. Week one, we talked about when we doubt God and how doubting God can be a pathway to God's grace. Week two, we talked about doubting ourselves, that God could really want a relationship with us. After all, we talk ourselves out of God loving us in so many ways. But now this week, we're going to talk about something that is a little harder to understand. And it is when we doubt that we need God at all. When we think that perhaps we could be God. Now, we all know the story of Adam and Eve and the forbidden apple, the forbidden fruit. And that story over the years has been misinterpreted. But let me set a couple things straight about the story. First of all, it has nothing to do with the woman making Adam eat the apple. Let's get that straight, folks. This is not a story about a woman making Adam eat an apple. It is a story that in truth makes us all sometimes wanting to eat that apple. Because what does it really stand for? What does it really say? Is it about two people in a garden eating the wrong apple and getting in all kinds of trouble with God? No, it is about what happens when we start to think we don't need God, when we want to be God. Now, I know all of you are saying, oh, Pastor Tom, I would never want to be God. Well, let me ask you this question. Has there ever been a time in your life when things were so bad and so traumatic and so awful that you wanted to be able to change them and you couldn't? Have you ever been watching a loved one suffer and die and you wanted to somehow be able to heal that person, and you prayed and you prayed and you prayed and it did not seem to get any better, and then perhaps you wanted to be God? Well, what happened, though, when Adam ate and Eve ate the forbidden fruit? Did they get to be like God? No, not really, because what happened then is they recognized the difference between being a human being and being God. God is in the garden walking around, and what do? After they thought they could be like God and know everything about God and be able to control everything as God did, all of a sudden they had to hide from God. Now put this in our own life. We're not walking around the Garden of Eden. We're not being told by a snake to eat forbidden fruit. We're not being made to feel that we're going to have everything wonderful and we'll be just like God if we eat that. But what happens when we start to doubt our need for God in our life? All of a sudden, we develop these feelings of guilt. All of a sudden, our relationship with God just doesn't seem like it's working anymore. So what's the answer? The answer is very simply this: God is God, and you are you. Now, there's a wonderful possibility for a relationship. But don't try to be God. We already have God. He doesn't need you to be God. And think of this: if you were God, you wouldn't need any faith. Imagine a life without faith. Imagine a life where you had only to depend on you being God of your life. What kind of decisions would you make? Would you be a good God, or would you be a selfish God? I think the best answer is, let's not doubt that we need God, because I'll tell you what, God never doubts that He wants us. This is Pastor Tom. I hope to see you in church on Sunday. Amen.